AI, autonomous drones, virtual reality, all these things are kind of innovative technologies that are used for public safety. My question is, like, how do you use these things in your daily lines of work, but also where do you see them evolving?
Okay, in Boston, we don't use drones because...
You don't use drones at all?
At all, we don't. And we know there's great use for them out there, and ultimately we will be using them, but I was mentioning earlier, it's about public trust in major cities. So you need the community to trust what you're doing, and that's a lot of work. That's every day. It's not glamorous, but it's going to the meetings, solving problems, and working with people and building that day-to-day trust. And when you get to that point, when you unveil technologies, they're going to give you the benefit of the doubt that you're going to use them for the right reasons. License plate readers, we went through the process, wrote tight policies, and everything's going great. Drones, the commissioner he doesn't believe we're at a point where he wants to put the department's reputation or, a relationship with the community at stake, so he's holding off on that. I mean, there's very, easy, good uses for it. We see them in other departments all the time, but it's the trust with our community. They don't want to jeopardize that, so it hasn't been dealt with yet.
I think we see a lot of kind of froth and commentary on AI and policing, and that can be a really scary thing for a lot of people. And combined with that, I think there's parties out there that'll say AI is going to try to replace police officers someday, and it'd be great if we could just have an objective computer doing the job of a police officer. I think that's the farthest thing from the truth. We're never going to be able to replace the human kind of doing the job and the context that they have when they get into some sort of incident or situation. So for us, we look at AI and some of the things that we're building right now. We're much more concerned with kind of like AI assistive technologies. So one, if police officers have to write narratives for all these reports that they do, and these narratives are typically pretty long, take a long time. If there's things that we can do, again, with AI, just to kind of speed up the process for that, again, seems like a small, mundane thing, but generally would pay out in spades for a police officer. Flip side, there's only more video being created that's part of investigations, only more photos and just kind of electronic materials that are playing a big role in investigations. If there was a police officer that knows there was a shooting and knows that the perp was wearing a pair of Air Jordans but didn't know anything else and wasn't able to see from the picture who this actual person was, they could have some sort of, again, kind of AI assistive tool to say, this is what this pair of Air Jordans looked like. Can you go scan our database of 10 gigabytes of information and see any other instances of a similar kind of Air Jordans setup of shoes, and then return those to me, and then maybe I can kind of build a little bit of more information and intel and understand who may have played a role in committing that crime. So there's kind of a lot of low-hanging fruit out there that, again, I don't think is very political or wild, but would, again, pay out in spades for the department that could use it.
And I think there's a lot of potential, and some departments are there. We're working on it for VR in training. There are a lot of scenarios that are really difficult to safely recreate in terms of in a live action sort of training. I've participated in one demo where it was training you to check behind you a lot when you're doing a traffic stop so you don't get hit by a car. It's sort of hard to replicate that safely out on the field. But there's a lot of, it's cheaper. When we do through the consent decree, we developed a lot of new trainings. They're scenario-based, it's live action. It's to make it so it's really ingrained in sort of muscle memory that you're doing it the right way. But that requires a lot of people monitoring you, a lot of safety officers if you're using simunitions. And so VR can take the place of a lot of that, which is very expensive. In terms of the AI, with our scenario, in terms of the surveillance and privacy ordinance, where we can use it, where it explicitly says we can use it, is internally. So I think places we're looking is doing a lot of natural language processing. Are we missing in a incident report? We do a lot of reporting on use of force, but that relies on humans reviewing and catching everything, which they're going to miss some stuff just naturally. But can you teach a natural language processing engine to pick up indicators that maybe force is being used, or where we're really focused is on officer wellness. Can you start to listen to the video, the radio calls, what the officers are typing to see is their stress building? Is the officer
stress.
heading towards a very bad place that you might not have noticed just by like random interactions? But if you're constantly like, wait, the words they're using are getting different, their speech patterns changing. There's lots of opportunity there, and also I think on wearables. I mean, these are all labor issues that would have to be negotiated, but I think there's a lot of potential to help the department out internally that doesn't sort of raise those Big Brother Minority Report external concerns.